Okay, I'd like to just welcome everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung. Welcome to everyone online as well. Today is our group learning program, and I'm going to be sharing with you Chapter 12 from our book, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. This chapter is titled, Craving is the Problem, What is the Solution? This is where I spend some time to just refresh you on the Four Noble Truths, ensuring that you understand what those are and how to practice them. Because next week in Chapter 13, I'm going to teach you how to go in and surgically remove some of your cravings, desires, attachments. And it's important to be able to make sure that you remember the Four Noble Truths and that you know how to practice those. So we're going to start with meditation like we do each class, but then we're going to move into this talk on craving is the problem, what is the solution? So welcome to all of you, whether you're joining for the first time or you're joining regularly. And if you'd like to join for meditation, we're going to start with some chanting. Then I'm going to come in with some guidance. There's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating together. Then we're going to come out of that with some more chanting. And that's where I'll start today's class. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Wat Tung Mahakawanang Apiwateyami Savakato Mahakawata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakawato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang Namami Namo Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Mahakawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusrang Oto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. Nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. สัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาพุทธังมหาเกวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสรังโพโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone in class today. Welcome. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put out a little survey here on Zoom because the topic that I have to teach tonight, I think many of you guys have actually learned it before, and I would like you guys to be able to answer this little poll that should be showing on your screen now in Zoom. It's asking you two questions. If you could just answer those two questions for me, that's going to kind of help guide what it is that I'm going to share with you guys and what we're going to do for the rest of the class. So I'll just give you guys a few moments to answer the questions there. Okay, so it looks like everybody has answered the question. Okay, so I just put out what you guys did as answers for the questions. So it looks like the vast majority of you guys have studied the Four Noble Truths with me again, and you're not needing a refresher on those because that's what I typically teach at this point. What I do is I go through and I refresh students on understanding the Four Noble Truths because craving is the problem and the solution is training the mind, but there's specific training that you need. But what I do is I help people to make sure they understand the Four Noble Truths before we move into talking about the solution, which is really going to be next week. So in the Four Noble Truths, I first explained the three universal truths, which is understanding impermanence, discontentedness, and non-self. And I saw that there was at least one person who was interested in learning this, and maybe here, I think you haven't learned this with me yet either. You guys can learn the Four Noble Truths through the recordings that I've done, through YouTube and our podcast. You'll be able to learn this. So tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of shuffle through here where I typically will teach the Four Noble Truths and get to something else to help you guys understand a little bit more where we're headed next week. So usually what I'm doing is I'm teaching the three universal truths of impermanence, discontentedness, and non-self, because these are building blocks to be able to help you understand the Four Noble Truths. And then I help you to understand what craving, desire, attachment is, how the mind is longing, yearning, because that's what's going to help you to be able to then understand the Four Noble Truths, where you understand the problem in the unenlightened mind is discontentedness. This is what the Buddha discovered, is that the mind's going up and down, that it's angry and sad and frustrated, then it's happy and excited, then it's lonely and bored, then it feels embarrassed and shy. This is the problem that every unenlightened being is experiencing, where the mind's not steady and stable. It's not bright and cheerful and uplifted. It's just a matter of time before you get frustrated or irritated about something. So that's the problem that everyone in the unenlightened state is experiencing. The second noble truth is explaining the cause of this problem is craving, desire, attachment, the way the mind's longing, yearning, chasing after the objects of its affection. It's craving permanence, wanting things to be permanent, when in reality everything around the world is impermanent. So if you're craving permanence and you get what you want, you'll get happy or excited. And if you're not getting what you want, you'll get painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. So you need to be able to see that the true cause of your discontent feelings is not anything external. It's not your parents making you upset. It's not your boss that's causing you to be frustrated or irritated or annoyed. It's not anything external that's causing your inner feelings. It's actually what's going on within your own mind. And this is really empowering, because when you understand that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, then you can understand that you can actually eliminate them. Because it's your mind that's causing them, you can actually eliminate them. If it was other people that was causing these feelings for you, you'd never be able to eliminate your anger and sadness and frustration. So you need to be able to get to the point where you can independently verify through your own direct experience that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. So you can take a situation where you've been angry or sad or frustrated, and you can see that there was something your mind was longing, yearning for. And if you would have got what you wanted, you would have been happy or excited. But since you didn't get what you wanted, you were experiencing painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. So this second noble truth helps you to have this breakthrough, to be able to see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Then the third noble truth is helping you to understand that you can eliminate these discontent feelings by eliminating craving, desire, attachment. If craving, desire, attachment is the cause of these feelings, then if you eliminate the cause, you'll eliminate the effect, right? I apologize for those of you guys on Zoom. I haven't been showing you my visual aids here. Just 1 second. There you go. All right. So if you can eliminate the cause, which is the craving, desire, attachment, you can eliminate the effect, right? So if the cause of discontentedness is craving, desire, attachment, all you need to do is eliminate that, and you will eliminate the discontent feelings. Right? So if you independently verify the second noble truth, then you can independently verify the third one too. Right? So let's just think back to like a boyfriend or girlfriend. When you first got together with this person, you were probably really happy and really excited. But then when you guys broke up, you were probably angry and frustrated, or lonely or bored or missing this person. This wasn't your love. It was the mind craving permanence and wanting this relationship to be permanent, when in reality it is impermanent. And as long as you were broken up and your mind was holding on to this person, you were angry or frustrated or sad or lonely or bored. But at some point your mind let go. You were like, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it, and you let go. Or if she wants to move to another part of the world, so be it, and your mind let go. And when you let go, that's where your joy and your peace came back, right? So that's what the Buddha is showing you here, in a way that you can independently verify through your own direct experience. And if you're having trouble to independently verify this, let me know, because I will help you to see that. Because the fourth noble truth is explaining to you that the solution to this, the complete solution that's going to completely eliminate your discontent feelings, is the Eightfold Path. That's the complete perfect plan that's going to help you to be able to eliminate the craving, desire, attachment. So you would need to know each one of these steps, and you need to know what they are. And that's what I teach in the various classes where I go through. It takes me about 2.5 hours to teach this entire teaching. But it's all built on this right view. What right view is to understand that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. wrong view would be to blame other people for the feelings that you're experiencing. And as long as you go around blaming other people for the things that you experience, you never cultivate the wisdom that you need to get improved results, right? If you can embrace the fact that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, and you can start looking inward, then you can actually solve these. But when you get angry and sad and frustrated and you just start blaming other people for your feelings, you'll never actually be able to fix it, because it's not these people that are actually causing your feelings. And the way that you know that is because in certain situations where you thought that other people were causing you to be angry, you might have pushed people out of your life. You might have pushed friends or family members out of your life. And you see that didn't solve the problem, because you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. If that person was the true problem, when you push them out of your life, you wouldn't get angry or frustrated any longer. Or you might be bitter and harsh and hostile with people. Or you might put your expectations on people, because this is the mind lacking wisdom, that it's your own craving, desire, attachment that's causing these feelings. The mind firmly believes, because of its lack of wisdom, that it's something external that's causing these feelings. So it'll push people away, it'll be bitter, harsh, and hostile, or it'll put its expectations on people. So when you are understanding right view intellectually, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, the way that you practice right view is that you start looking inward. Instead of blaming other people, you start looking inward to figure out, what is it that your mind's longing, yearning for? When you're angry, when you're sad, when you're frustrated or irritated or annoyed, instead of blaming other people, you look inward and try to figure out, what is your mind longing, yearning for? And what's going to help you to be able to do that is this mindfulness, this awareness of mind. And then you apply this right effort. So you're going to need to know this. And I've taught this already in this program, so that's why I'm not going through this in detail. And I apologize for the person who's just joining us today that you haven't learned this before, but you can learn this through the recordings. And if you have any challenges to find this, you can actually send me a message, either an email or a Facebook message or WhatsApp or something like this, and I can send you the links to be able to review the recordings. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you deeper into what we were describing in this chapter, which I actually give a whole lot of examples here of things that can potentially be cravings, desires, attachments in the mind, because these are the things that your mind's going to need to eliminate. You don't need to eliminate the object, you need to eliminate the longing, yearning for it. Okay, so a craving, desire, attachment isn't the object itself, it's the way that the mind's longing, yearning for it. So for example, a lot of us have these mobile phones, right? You could have a craving, desire, attachment for this mobile phone. Whereas if you misplace it, if somebody stole it, if it broke, or you left your house without it, you might have discontent feelings. You might have stress or anxiety or fear or frustration, right? That's because your mind's craving for this phone to be permanent, when in reality it is impermanent. So it's not the phone itself that is the craving, desire, attachment. It's the way the mind's longing, yearning for it, wanting it to be permanent. The example that I can give you to help you see this is, let's just say that I was going on a hike and I had a liter of water in my car, and I'm headed towards a hiking trail, and I get out of the car and I forgot my water in the car. And now I'm 30 minutes down the trail and I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot my water, And I'm all shaken up by this, and I run and hurry back to the car. Maybe I twist my ankle and I sling open the door of the car and I grab my bottle of water and water. Oh, I got my water back, right? This would be someone who has craving, desire, attachment. They're longing, yearning for the bottle of water. Because the second person could have the same exact situation. The liter of water is in their car. They're 30 minutes down the trail and they're like, I forgot the water. It's back in the car. You know what? I'm going to be out here for like 6 or 8 hours. I should probably turn around and go get some water, right? And now you maybe turn around, calmly make your way back to the car. You get your liter of water and you're off on your hike, right? The object is exactly the same. The bottle of water, it's exactly the same in both scenarios. The difference is the first person had this longing, yearning and was craving for this water to be permanent, where the second person understood, hey, no big deal. I don't have the water. This is an impermanent situation. I can just turn around and go get it. No big deal, right? But that's what the mind needs to be able to do with all these different things. So the craving, desire, attachment isn't these objects that I'm showing you here in this chapter. It's the way that the mind is longing, yearning for this. wanting this to be permanent. So, for example, let's just say someone had a craving for automobiles and they were purchasing many different automobiles, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different automobiles, right? Because they had a craving to collect up all these automobiles, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a craving, desire, attachment just because you have a lot of automobiles, but your mind can crave it, right? Where every little scratch, every little bump, every little speck of dirt on your car, you're obsessively trying to keep your cars clean and in pristine condition, right? And in this situation, your mind's craving and you're going to experience discontentedness when maybe there's a dent or a scratch or something like that, right? And now for someone who has this craving for automobiles, they're going to potentially experience these harmful effects like excessive work, excessive ego and arrogance, thinking like, look at me, I'm so great, look at all these cars I own, right? Or lack of time with people that are close to them. And then also creating pollution by having all these different cars. So I'm not saying whether you should have cars or you shouldn't have cars, because that's a personal decision for each person to make. But if you have a craving, a longing, yearning, and you're collecting up multiple cars and your mind is getting discontent because of this, this is because of the craving, desire, attachment. It's not the car itself, it's the way the mind's longing, yearning for it. Let's take another one of these, like children. Let's just say somebody really wants to have children. They're longing, yearning for children. But let's just say they can't have children. Let's just say biologically they're unable to have a child. Or let's just say they don't have a partner and they're not able to have a child because of that. If their mind is longing, yearning for a child and they don't have one, now their mind's going to be discontent. Their mind's going to be stressed or having frustration or some other discontent feeling because the mind's wanting a child and it doesn't have it. It's not content in the present moment, right? So an individual who has a longing, yearning for children is going to experience discontentedness. But you can have children and not be attached to them, not basing your inner feelings on them. Typically, when you first are having children, you are attached to them, but you can actually train your mind over the course of their life to not be attached to your child. So this is something that the mind is capable of doing. So all of these things, it's not the object itself that is the craving, desire, attachment. It's the way the mind's longing, yearning for it. And most of these things, you can actually have these things and there's no problem with having them. You just need to train your mind to not base your inner feelings on them. Except for this next one here, like this substances that cause heedlessness. If somebody's taking illicit substances, there's no way for you to do that without a craving, desire, attachment. The mind is actually longing, yearning for pleasant feelings, and it's using a substance to try to get to that. So most of these things, you can actually end up having them, like say like power. If someone has a lot of power, they could actually maybe be very influential in their community, but they're not basing their inner feelings on it. They're not walking around arrogant and prideful, or if they try to do something in the community and if it doesn't work, they're not upset and angry and frustrated. But maybe somebody's very influential in the community, they have a lot of power, but you could also have craving for this too. You could have longing, yearning for it, and you want to be like the top person in your community, and you want everybody to look at you in such awe. And because of that, you can experience these unwholesome results because of it, right? So you need to be able to look at something like this as just an indication of some of the cravings, desires, attachments that can potentially exist in your mind. When you're first getting on the path to enlightenment, it's almost like standing at the top of a garbage heap. You're on so many different cravings, desires, attachments, you might not even realize how many you have when you first get on the path to enlightenment because your mind's being pulled in all these different directions. And as you start training your mind more and more, you can actually see more and more of all these cravings that you have. And as you start clearing some of them out, you actually kind of drop down, not realizing that you're on the top of a garbage heap, and you kind of drop down on top of some more garbage. And then you kind of clear those cravings, desires, attachments out, and you drop down some more. And you keep doing this all the way down until you get to stable ground, where your mind is actually enlightened and you're not standing on a garbage heap anymore because you've purified your mind. You don't have these cravings, desires, attachments. Because having craving, desire, attachment in the mind is like carrying around a burden that your mind's going to be pulling in all these different directions. And now you can't be content and peaceful in the present moment because the mind always wants something that it doesn't have. Okay? So this is essentially what I was planning for today, and I suspected that you guys had already understood the Four Noble Truths and that I wasn't going to need to teach those in depth. This chapter is really just to remind people of what the Four Noble Truths are, so that next week when I teach you the topic of chapter 13, we can go in and we don't need to talk about the Four Noble Truths. We can just go in and talk about this technique to almost surgically remove some of these cravings, desires, attachments. Because what you've been learning so far is like generalized training with the Eightfold Path and all the other things that I've been teaching you, the meditations and things like this. This is just generalized training that needs to be well underway for somebody who's getting on the path to enlightenment. But once you've done that and you've got your arms around that, you can actually go in and almost surgically remove some of these cravings, desires, attachments, and that's the topic that I'm going to teach you next week. So I'm just going to see if you guys have any questions about what I've been talking about today, or really anything that you'd like to talk about. We can just have an open discussion about anything you'd like to ask questions about related to your practice or the Buddhist teachings, or anything you'd like to ask questions about. So if there's anybody here that would like to ask questions, or if there's anyone online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, and I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and then unmute your microphone and ask any questions that way. Okay, looks like either Joe or Della have a question. Go ahead, guys.
David, yes, this is Adela here. In your example with the mobile phone, having a craving, and if you lose it, you're upset and whatnot. What would it be like? It's not necessarily that, like, if, for example, if I lost my phone, I wouldn't be upset that the physical object itself was gone. I might be upset that my information on the phone is, gone. Like maybe pictures or, access to bank accounts or social media or something, like, just my overall like information that I have on the phone. What kind of craving is that?
That's still a craving for permanence, and it's craving for that information to be permanent, right? So this is one of the reasons why people are usually so attached to the phone, because it has so much stuff on it, and it's used in so many different ways nowadays. So it's still a craving for permanence. That's what craving, desire, attachment is, where the mind's longing, yearning, and craving permanence. But it's not the phone itself that your mind's longing, yearning to be permanent. It's the information on the phone. So that's the craving that the mind's having for the permanence of the information, like the pictures and the bank accounts and things that you mentioned. So it's craving those things to be permanent rather than the phone itself.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
David, could I ask a question as well?
Sure. Go ahead, Joe.
About social media, I guess. It used to be that like Facebook was a way for you to keep in touch and, just know what your friends are up to and, keep in contact. But now it's almost like, a drug, perhaps, something like TikTok or Instagram, it's to me like a way for, corporations to extract, something from you. So I don't know, where do you stand on that,
So if you have a craving, desire, attachment for these things, then you're going to get pleasant feelings from them, right? It's the same thing. It's not the problem isn't the social media company. The problem isn't the social media environment. It's the way that the mind's longing, yearning for it to be permanent, and then getting all these conditioned pleasant feelings based on it. And now when the individual is doing that, if they have 10 likes or loves or whatever it is on Facebook, then they feel great. And then they feel great for a while, but then all of a sudden the 10 isn't good enough for them. Or if they have 1,000 friends, that's not good enough for them, right? They only felt pleasure for a period of time, and now they want more, they want more, they want more, right? So it's not the social media companies that are causing the difficulties and struggles that each individual person is experiencing. It's the one's own craving, desire, attachment. So if you're saying that social media companies are extracting information out of you, this is a choice that each individual makes of whether to give that information or not, or whether to participate in that social media platform or not. So nobody can really extract information out of you. It's the choice that you're making to be involved in that particular platform. And then you're either agreeing or disagreeing with whatever it is that they're trying to get from you as part of your tracking your clicks or tracking your user activity or whatever it is. So each individual person can make a decision of whether or not to participate in that or not. And then oftentimes people's minds are getting attached to that. And now when they're experiencing the discontentedness, what the unenlightened mind does is it likes to blame other people. So people will blame Facebook or Instagram or whatever else, X, or they'll blame other people for the feelings that they're experiencing. You guys probably know I use Facebook all the time. I use YouTube all the time to do all the social media things that I do in order to be able to reach you guys and be able to share these teachings. But I don't experience any discontentedness from these things at all. What I'm going to teach you next week is how to actually get to that point, because you need to have the Eightfold Path well underway, and that's going to help you train your mind. But then there's things you can do to surgically go in if you know that you're attached like Adela to your objects on your phone. There's things that you're going to be able to do to surgically remove that from your mind. But if you don't have the Eightfold Path well underway, then it's not going to be as impactful. And the same thing for you, Joe. If like you notice in your mind is having craving, desire, attachment with social media, there's specific things you can do to train your mind to let that go. It's not just the Eightfold Path. There's things that integrate into this that's going to help you to let these things go too. But it's important to understand that the problem is not the social media companies or the platforms or the code. It's the way the mind's longing, yearning, and craving. That's what's causing those discontent feelings. It's not the outside world.
Okay. Yeah, I just felt like the line was like blurring between social media and like substance abuse. I know that social media has its positives, but maybe that's old fashioned. I don't know. But like I said, it just, as far as like mental health is concerned, I think a lot of these things aren't there to provide anything really good because, consuming alcohol or, things like marijuana, it's, I know you're not saying what we should or shouldn't do, but it's one of those things that we're not necessarily supposed to do. And I don't know, but I see your point.
Yeah, if we can talk about this a little bit, I can help you to clarify it a bit. A substance is something you're putting in the body that's going to now promote certain experiences within the mind, right? Because you're now tweaking the brain chemistry. That's what something like cocaine or heroin or crystal methamphetamine, it's tweaking the brain chemistry. The mind is something different. You've got the physical brain and then you've got the mind, which is non-physical. And there's a connection between these two things. They're different. So when you're putting a substance into the body, it's going to tweak the brain chemistry, and now it's going to affect the mind. Where social media, you're not putting a substance into the body that's tweaking the brain chemistry. This is just the mind longing, yearning, and craving for certain experiences and having certain expectations of the social media. And now that's affecting one's experience in their day-to-day life. But there's nothing that's going into the body that's tweaking the brain chemistry here with social media. Okay, I don't see any other questions anywhere, unless somebody has something. Oh, Alberto, I see that you're saying the audio is low. Yeah, I had some impermanence here with the audio, and I haven't been able to figure it out yet because I take some of the audio equipment from here over to the main hall each Sunday now, and I'm setting up over there to do meditation. And then when I brought it back for some impermanence somewhere, that there's not as strong a sound for you guys right now, but I'm going to sort it out after class. But I think you guys are still able to hear me. It's just not as strong as normal. Okay, looks like no Emily has a question. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi. So something that I'm struggling with is as I try to, I guess, accept like the impermanence of life, on like the day to day, like there could be so many examples, but I find myself like when you're around people who are constantly pointing it out or complaining or like angry, it almost like tries to, at least for me, I feel like I'm kind of pulled back into that a little bit. Um, and then I have to obviously handle the impermanence of life or the situation or whatever. But then it's also on top of it, this person who's like reminding me of it, and they don't necessarily know how to deal with it. And so it's like a double struggle, right? Because now I'm like craving for this person to be a certain way or to understand life a certain way in a way that they don't. So I don't know if there's any like guidance that you have on that.
Yeah, what would be wise in these situations is while you're training your mind and you're having difficulties with this, is to limit your contact with these kinds of individuals and in these kinds of situations so you can work on your mind and train it to let go. Because there's some, as you have seen, there's some craving, desire, attachment where you're wanting this person to be a certain way. And the more that you spend time with them, the more your mind's going to keep wanting that and longing, yearning for it. So if you distance yourself from the individual, not meaning like, go away from them entirely, but if you just put some more space in between the times that you guys are spending together, this will give your mind kind of a breathing room to be able to kind of regain its composure. This is one of the reasons why in the teachings of the Buddha, he taught to cultivate wholesome friendships. And oftentimes we've had friends in the past before getting on this path that we didn't necessarily make wise decisions about who to spend time with because we didn't really understand this path. And we still might have friends around that are making unwise decisions and, as you're saying, maybe complaining and upset and all these kinds of things. And now you might start realizing that maybe it's not as wise to spend time with these individuals, and you might start seeing your relationships shift where you start spending time with other people. And that's okay. It's just that the mind might be clinging to these past relationships, and you need to be willing to let them go if that's what you need to do. And in some cases, you might let them go. In some cases, you may not. You might just distance yourself from the relationship for a period of time, kind of allowing your mind to build up its training so that when you're around this person, your mind can be more comfortable. And then, of course, having these types of people in your loving kindness meditation is really helpful. I know that for many of you guys, you don't live around people who are practicing these teachings, and it can be really challenging because you can kind of feel a little bit alone, like there's nobody else out there that's practicing the teachings. So if you are able to, find people who are into practicing these teachings, that's great, but that's not what's going to produce the peace and joy for you. But it does help to have wholesome friends that are at least doing wholesome things and that aren't going around, as it sounds like, no, Emily, maybe some of your friends are doing where they're constantly complaining or things like this.
Yeah.
It's best to kind of distance yourself from that, because otherwise, as you say, you're going to get dragged into it, meaning your mind's going to be influenced by it. So if you put some more space between it, then your mind can be more stable and steady, and you can engage with that when your mind is strong and stable. And if you're noticing that your mind's not so strong, even if you have an appointment where you're going to go meet with one of those people, it's best to not go do that because it's going to draw your mind down into that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Joe, if you'd like to unmute, you're more than welcome to. I didn't know if you had some more to talk about there. I just saw your comment.
No, I just wanted to say thank you, and that was it.
Oh, sure. Pleased to help you. Okay, so it looks like just a short class today, just to kind of be sure that everybody has a refresher on the Four Noble Truths and you're understanding craving, desire, attachment, and how the mind's causing these discontent feelings. Because next week, I'm going to go in and I'm going to teach you something brand new that I haven't taught you before, how to almost surgically go in and remove some of these cravings, desires, attachments. So I'd like to end just like I normally do by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your interest in learning and developing on the path to enlightenment. On Wednesday, I'm going to be doing meditation with students and then opening up to any and all questions that you guys have. And then next week, we're going to be in chapter 13, which is titled Identifying Your Cravings, Cultivation and Analysis of the Mind. So this is where we're going to go in and learn this new technique to be able to go in and actually remove these cravings from the mind. So whatever you guys choose to do today, have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day. Perhaps we'll see you next time. Sawadee ka. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.